Hey everyone, GScotty here. In this series, I try to get an hour of gameplay for every dollar spent on a certain game. So, with that in mind, is 20 minutes till dawn worth $1 an hour? Make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and let's check it out. It really is a weird time that video gamers live in. We want quality titles, but a lot of the time, when you go to a store to buy one, you would probably have to drop anywhere from $60 to $70 for one game. That's a pretty large chunk of change. It takes a while to save up your pennies for a video game when you have other expenses you gotta take care of. Most of the time, when you think video games, you probably think you'll have to spend a good bit of money. However, you'd be surprised how many quality experiences come with a rather modest price tag. It can be hit or miss, but I'm surprised by how many of my favorite games are a lot cheaper than you might expect. One game that truly captivated me was Vampire Survivors. Really cheap on consoles, free if you're playing on mobile, and it's just ridiculous, uncanny fun. It blew up in popularity, and we all know that when something blows up in popularity, other people will want a piece of that sweet, sweet pie. That's where the game 20 Minutes Till Dawn comes in. Right away, I could tell that the game takes a lot of inspiration from Vampire Survivors. You run around avoiding extremely large hordes of enemies until the clock runs out. Now, nothing is wrong when one thing is inspired by another thing. Creatives do it all the time. However, does 20 Minutes Till Dawn have enough unique DNA in it to justify its own existence? Well, the game is only $5, so let me tell you my thoughts on the game within its first 5 hours. "20 Minutes Till Dawn" is a shoot-'em-up survivor game developed by Flame, and first released on mobile on September 9th, 2022, and on computers on June 8th, 2023. As I said before, the inspirations for Vampire Survivors is very clear with its level design and horde encounters. However, I was pleasantly surprised when I realized that the similarities of the two games more or less ended there. When you first boot up the game, you pick from a myriad of characters with various passive abilities that are radically different from one another. From being able to summon elements like lightning, fire, and ice, to having unique attacks like a quick scatter shot of any remaining bullets in your gun, to turning into an invincible deer. Yes, it is as rad as it sounds. After you pick your character, you pick your projectile from a large arsenal. Right away, I realized something that I think this game does brilliantly: synergy. Out the gate, you really gotta think about what synergizes well with your character's passive ability, starting from the gun you wield all the way down to the powers you obtain when you level up. When you just randomly pick up whatever you think looks cool, everything works just fine. But the real fun happens when you start to strategize what you pick up, and then you really start to see the damage rack up. It is immensely satisfying. I don't want to keep bringing up Vampire Survivors, but one thing about that game that I love is the automatic attacking mechanic. When I first picked up 20 Minutes Till Dawn, I thought that it was going to be more or less the same kind of combat. I was very wrong. I played on mouse and keyboard, and the controls made the experience more of a click and point to shoot kind of game. It took some time to get used to these controls, mostly because I don't play many games like this, but after just a little bit of time, I found the shooting very simple and responsive. With all this being said, I did want to mention my first impression of the game. I remember being a little frustrated with how weak the character started out as. I knew it would take some time to get level ups, but still, I felt like it was a bit of a chore to get to the first 5 to 10 levels. However, before I started another attempt, I saw that there was a drop-down menu for something called runes. Now this changed everything for me. See, when you die, you lose all of your level up upgrades, kind of like a roguelike, for instance. However, if you purchase runes with the in-game currency, you'll get various permanent buffs, ranging from an increase in bullet damage and fire and reload rates, chances to inflict status damage, increased vision, passive healing, you name it. This not only fixed my issue, but it also made me excited that there was a lot more to purchase besides characters and weapons. Now, regardless of the upgrades, this game can be really, really challenging, and the rapidly growing enemy hordes of Eldritch-like monsters can be incredibly overwhelming. But it never gets to the point of feeling absolutely ridiculous. It really gets you sucked into the action, especially when you're able to survive your first night. I remember when I got my first victory, and I was on cloud 9. I was playing as Katana with a Cyclone Sword, and I was focusing on dealing most of my damage during the sword's reload attack. It was great fun to theorycraft. I was absolutely hooked, and I couldn't wait to hop right back into the action. And hop back I did. Again, and again, and again. If I had to mention any negatives, I would say that the beginning of the attempts can feel a bit sluggish at first, but I feel like that's more of a genre thing than it is this game in particular. I do think the rune system does remedy this pretty well, still just something I thought I would mention. Also, although I do like the simpler color palette, I think it's very unique and it does help the game achieve the spooky vibe it's going for, I do think that everything does begin to feel very samey after a while. I would have loved for the maps especially to have a different feel from one another. Now, it isn't bad by any means, it's just a tiny little nitpick. You know, I've realized that the negatives I feel towards this game are very nitpicky. Overall, I had a great time playing this game. I found myself very surprised when I noticed that I had already breezed past my 5-hour time limit, and I still had so much left I wanted to do. "20 Minutes Till Dawn" is easy to play and difficult yet satisfying to master. Its humble price tag doesn't reflect on its quality at all. It has a unique flavor to it that separates it from the other games in its genre, and I could easily recommend it to someone who likes shoot-'em-ups, survivor-likes, roguelites, or just simple yet addicting games. When I hit the 5-hour mark, I couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. I just wanted to keep playing the game. I had made plans to collect every character, every weapon, every rune. I mean, I guess I'll just go and do that then. I guess I'll just keep playing the game. This is a very simple game that's quick to pick up and play, but it actually does have a lot of meat on its bones. It has a few rough edges here and there, but if you give it a try, once you get the swing of things, you're sure to be hooked. So, what's the final verdict? Is 20 Minutes Till Dawn worth $1 an hour? Yes. It's worth the price. A massive thank you to all of you who are members of the channel, especially the biggest patrons of the month, my pal Johnny Appleseed and Telemachus826. If you want to support the channel and gain access to cool perks like exclusive videos, stream VODs, and more, click the join button to learn how. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Bye-bye.